Tonight, the rising cost of living, new federal finance rules impacting your wallet. From carbon pricing,
richer Canadians will pay thousands of dollars more.
The government is trying to sell its carbon tax using magic math.
To minimum wage.
That's a positive thing, but it's nowhere near a living wage.
How the changes add up. More destruction in multiple U.S. states.
But we're allowed. We're allowed.
Dozens dead and injured from Illinois to Arkansas. Plus, BC makes birth control free.
It's a huge historic day. It's a huge win for reproductive justice rights.
Canada's first jurisdiction to cover contraception.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo. Reporting tonight, Heather Wright.
Good evening. In an economic climate where Canadians are already struggling with elevated prices and rising interest rates, a series of scheduled tax increases threaten to put an even tighter squeeze on wallets. As of today, the federal excise tax on alcohol has gone up 2%, and an increase in Ottawa's carbon pricing will see drivers in some parts of the country paying roughly 3 cents a litre more for gas. The federal minimum wage is also going up, providing some relief, but as CTV's Judy Trin reports, likely not enough.
Raising a glass isn't easy when new taxes are on tap. Starting today, the alcohol tax on beer, wine, and spirits goes up by 2%.
And as soon as you have a tax increase like this come into play, you're going to see producers have to, increase costs to cover that. Ultimately, that gets passed to the consumer.
Also being passed on, an increase in carbon pricing to tackle climate change. Companies that pollute will now have to pay $65 per ton of emissions, $15 more than before. For drivers, that means paying 3 cents more a litre for gas.
Those that are in charge of making decisions should kind of think twice, especially this year.
Canadians will get rebates to offset the climate surcharge, but the parliamentary budget officer says the majority of families won't come out ahead. In Newfoundland and Labrador, families will pay $347 more a year. In Ontario, $478 more. In Alberta, the bill more than $700.
For a long time now, Canadians have been struggling to afford the price of fuel when they fuel up their car on the way to work, or to keep their homes warm, or to even just afford the package of ground beef or the jug of milk at the grocery store.
But the environment minister says people with lower incomes will benefit.
Which is exactly how the system was designed, so that the rich pay more for their carbon consumption and their carbon pollution, and that we're supporting through the transition middle-class Canadians and low-income Canadians.
There was a silver lining today. The federal minimum wage went up to $16.65 an hour, but it only benefits people working in federally regulated industries like banking and courier services. Heather.
Judy Trin in Ottawa tonight. Thank you, Judy. Climate change protesters took aim at one of Canada's largest banks today, gathering at RBC branches across the country to call out the financial giant for funding fossil fuel projects.
They are the largest funder of fossil fuels in the country and the 5th largest in the world.
The demonstrations, which took place in about 40 locations, are part of a nationwide effort dubbed Fossil Fools Day. While RBC does plan to reduce its financed emissions to zero by 2050, critics say that target falls far short of what's needed. We are getting new details about the deaths of 8 migrants whose bodies were pulled from the St. Lawrence River this week. Police have confirmed the identities of 2 adults, 28-year-old Christina Yordake and 28-year-old Florin Yordake, who was carrying the Canadian passports of a 1-year-old infant and 2-year-old child. The identities of 4 Indian nationals are still unknown. The victims are believed to have been attempting illegal entry into the U.S. from the Mohawk Territory, known for being a popular spot for human trafficking. Authorities are still searching for a 30-year-old man whose boat was found near the bodies. Stateside, we're hearing harrowing stories of survival tonight. At least 22 people are dead and many are injured after a wave of violent storms tore across the Midwest and the South, collapsing homes and businesses. More than 60 reported tornadoes touched down in at least 8 states. Thousands are still in the dark as millions of Americans face another bout of devastation. CTV's Vanessa Lee has the latest.
Tornadoes caught on camera, unleashing its wrath across several states, leaving swaths of destruction. Hard-hit Arkansas has declared a state of emergency after a catastrophic twister blasted through the capital.
We heard the wind, and then our dad, he immediately woke up from his nap and told us to go to the bathroom quick.
The monster storm packed winds of up to 265 kilometers an hour, spanning more than 30 kilometers, ripping roofs and walls off many buildings, devastating homes and businesses in a matter of minutes, including this nail salon.
It was about 20 to 25 of us. We ran to the back area, closed the door, huddled together, and just prayed for our lives.
Holy. Others rode it out in their cars. One driver capturing the moment the tornado swept over his van. They are terrifying moments this 29-year-old also won't soon forget.
So you can hear the sound of it, you can hear it, and putting the wipers on like on 5 and all day, there was no even way for you to see nothing. So everybody was parked on the freeway.
In Belvedere, Illinois, chaos at this popular theater when the roof collapsed during a sold-out heavy metal concert. More than 200 people were inside. Concertgoers tried to save a 50-year-old man trapped under debris, but it was too late.
It's just really hard to see people and hear people being hurt.
As the cleanup gets underway, they may not be in the clear just yet. Another round of severe weather is expected on Tuesday. Heather.
Vanessa Lee in Montreal, thank you. A country led by an accused war criminal is now in charge of the United Nations Security Council. Starting today, Russia has assumed the presidency of the council for the next few weeks, despite Ukrainian officials urging members to block the move.
You cannot imagine a worse joke for April Fool's Day.
The presidency rotates each month between the council's 15 members. The last time Russia chaired the UNSC was in February 2022, when it launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. 2 women were arrested in Iran after a man attacked them with yogurt. This video of the incident shows the women in a shop waiting to be served by the cashier as the man approaches them before violently throwing what appears to be a tub of yogurt on their heads. The women were detained for showing their hair, which is illegal in Iran. The suspect was also arrested for disturbing the public order. In Rome, Pope Francis is back home after he was released from hospital today. The 86-year-old joked with reporters outside the hospital that he's still alive and didn't feel frightened during his 3-day stay. The pontiff, who was receiving treatment for bronchitis, also stopped to bless a young boy and sign his cast and comforted a grieving couple who lost their child. He will preside over Palm Sunday Mass tomorrow. Accessing affordable contraceptives is a challenge for many, but today it's a bit easier in British Columbia. The province became the first to offer free prescribed birth control, a move aimed at giving people fewer obstacles in taking charge of their reproductive health. CTV's Abigail Turner reports.
Starting today, you won't see any customers in BC paying for a birth control prescription.
There's many different types of birth control depending on patients' needs.
6 different contraceptive methods are impacted, including IUDs, hormone injections, and the morning after pill.
The great news is that in the summer, the pharmacists will have the authority to prescribe contraceptives without going to your doctor.
And with a dire physician shortage, that next step can't come soon enough.
Pharmacy students nowadays are graduating with Doctor of Pharmacy degrees, so it does increase the scope of practice for pharmacists and decreases the burden on primary care physicians because they're already overworked.
It's part of the NDP government's platform and one that the opposition parties in Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan are promising if elected. BC will spend $119 million over the next 3 years for the new program.
Contraceptive health and reproductive health is so important. It's an important part of a public health care system.
The cost varies on average of $25 per month for oral pills, while IUDs can run a one-time fee of more than $400. Vasectomies have been covered for years.
It's a huge historic day. It's a huge win for reproductive justice rights.
Contraceptives can be prescribed for more reasons beside pregnancy prevention.
I've had patients with PCOS, people with acne, people who have really debilitating periods, or I have a lot of patients who have menopausal symptoms and they're taking the patch.
The change will result in an average of $300 in savings annually, adding up to as much as $10,000 in savings over a person's lifetime, keeping both cash and contraceptives in the hands of BC residents. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
A new force in Conservative politics appears to be gaining more influence. Take Back Alberta is a right-wing group that started as a way to push back against COVID-19 health measures. But as CTV's Tim Brooke reports, the group has grown and now has its sights set on transforming the province in the upcoming election.
Take Back Alberta is a controversial right-wing group that many believe is influencing the provincial government.
There's a lot of them across the province.
UCP MLA Devin Dreeshen's constituency association was flipped last month. His mom and uncle were voted out, and political experts speculate Take Back Alberta is responsible.
I'm excited to work with them. They view the same views that I have when it comes to the NDP.
TBA's founder calls it easy to identify.
An educational organization that teaches people how their political system works and how they can get engaged with it.
But that's not everyone's view. Lisa Sagatak recently attended a United Conservative Party constituency meeting in her riding south of Calgary. It's a night she won't soon forget.
During the meeting, a couple people were saying, yeah, I'm a member of Take Back Alberta, and I kind of turned around, and that's when it started to tweak on me that things were getting a little bit too aggressive and extremist.
Take Back Alberta started as a way to push back against COVID restrictions. The registered third-party advertiser now takes credit for removing Jason Kenney from his post as premier and electing Danielle Smith. Members have ties to the Coots border blockade and the Ottawa convoy.
These are the people that Jason Kenney said were the inmates taking over the asylum.
The group is extremely organized. Experts believe it has inserted its members into at least 3 conservative constituency associations and the UCP board. Many say it's pushing for private health care and education and eventually separation.
It's not a one person, one vote, equal representation in democracy. It's a few people that are very well organized and motivated.
CTV News reached out to Take Back Alberta for more information about its agenda. We didn't hear back. Tim Brooke, CTV News, Calgary.
Coming up, the divide over what's being taught in America.
The United States is in the middle of a culture war.
From fine art to classic books, a growing list of what's banned in American schools. Plus, the fiery disaster in Mexican skies. Two people are dead and another injured after jumping out of a hot air balloon that caught fire near Mexico City. The balloon was flying over Teotihuacan, a popular archaeological site. The deceased crew members include a 38-year-old woman and a 50-year-old man. The lone survivor, a minor, is in hospital with first and second-degree burns and a broken arm. The push to keep culture and history in American schools is hitting a hard wall. Singer Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus are the latest artists to face the controversy after a Wisconsin school banned students from performing their latest song. Here's CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon on the deepening divide.
It's a song about love and acceptance that landed 2 superstars, Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus, who sing it in a mountain of controversy. Take a listen.
living in a rainbow land where everything goes as planned, and I smile.
But the first graders at Higher Elementary in Wisconsin won't be singing that tune at their class concert. It was banned by the school district that deemed the lyrics controversial.
So it's sad that educators felt like they needed to get permission to sing a song about being together and appreciating diversity.
It's not just songs. A Florida school banned this Disney movie. The real-life story about Ruby Bridges, a little black girl integrated into an all-white Southern school in the 50s. A parent objected to the racial hatred on screen. Here's what Ruby Bridges had to say.
I share our shared history, good, bad, and ugly.
Even Michelangelo's famous statue David cost a Florida principal her job. A parent claimed the masterpiece was pornographic.
Forms of sexuality, the body, gender expression are sort of under siege.
Across America, so-called educational gag orders increased 250% last year, and banning books is at a 20-year high.
To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, The Color Purple.
Iowa's Bart Carruthers says the classics he sells would be banned under new legislation in schools. One concerned parent, he says, scooped up 10 banned books.
But it saddens me to think that a parent would have to go to that extreme just to make sure their children have access to books that we've taken for granted.
And while many Americans worry where this country is going, Miley Cyrus took to Twitter telling the kids who can't sing Rainbow Land to keep being you. You'll be the ones to brush the judgment and fear aside. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
After a year of intense negotiations, some peace of mind for the NBA and its players, as both sides have agreed on a new labor deal. The tentative 7-year deal will last until at least 2029. Some key elements include playing at least 65 games in a season to be eligible for a major award. The league is also adding a new in-season tournament where winning players and coaches would receive cash prizes. The world's best curlers are taking to the pebbled ice this week in the nation's capital as it hosts the World Men's Curling Championship. Brad Gushu's Canadian rink drew thunderous applause as they hit the ice for the 9-day event, which features the best teams from 13 countries. Not a great start, though, for Team Gushu, who opened the tourney with an 8-3 loss to Switzerland. Still ahead, how recovering addicts in BC are using a remarkable farm program as a springboard for change. A unique recovery program in Langley, BC is helping people from across the country overcome addiction by taking care of animals. CTV's Michelle Brunaro has more on a farm that's transforming lives.
At Academy Farms.
Hi, girl. Hi.
They're raising water buffalo.
We've got Hazel here. She was one of the first females born on this farm.
And bison.
Animals have a way, I think we all know that, of just helping us through some of the toughest times, toughest moments.
The workers called students here know all about tough times.
I was addicted to meth and cocaine. I've struggled with it for a lot of years, and I was getting in trouble with the law.
I would drink at night. I needed cocaine to wake me up in the morning. Darkest point in my addiction and that lifestyle was I had a barrel in my mouth.
Academy Farms is a long-term drug and alcohol rehabilitation center where students work long days and take programs at night.
It's really hard. Like it's a good hard though.
It's given me, well, I guess self-confidence and self-love. It's given me an opportunity for a career.
Sam Cummings had tried shorter treatment programs, but nothing had worked.
I'd work for a bit and then I just fall back into the same kind of lifestyle and patterns.
Now he's about to graduate. He's part of a welding apprenticeship and hopeful for his future. The farm is a place where students hold each other accountable and say they've become like family.
It's more my brothers keeping me accountable and changing my behaviors, and that's kind of what I needed in life.
It's a 2-year program, and not everyone makes it through, but those who stay for the long haul are finding success.
The caliber of these young people that are coming out of this program, it's phenomenal.
Josh Draper says becoming a father made him want to change his life.
I have a little boy at home. He's 2 years old, so that's why I'm here.
And while there's nothing easy about this program, he says it gives him hope.
There's always a way. Yeah, you just got to want to change.
Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Langley.
Today marks April Fool's Day for most parts of the world, prompting some to take part in the silly festivities. Tim Hortons unveiled stackable square Timbits, and Missouri police introduced its new alpaca unit.
It's not quite a mounted patrol unit, as you cannot ride them.
While Duolingo partnered with Peacock for the premiere of its hot new dating show, Love Language.
The catch? None of them speak the same language.
And in a letter from the Academy, Toronto filmmaker Sarah Polley was told the Oscar she won this year was given to her by mistake and was asked to return it to the rightful winner. The letter was written by her 11-year-old who insisted it was real. After the break, a BC couple's newfound purpose for a tree that had a rough go. We leave you tonight with one couple's quirky experience, tree pruning. They branched out and carved out a solution. Here's CTV's Adam Sawatsky.
A few years after Marie and Derek got married, they bought a house and planted a tree.
So over the years, of course, the tree grew and grew and grew.
Although their love blossomed, the cherry tree never bore fruit until the couple were advised to prune it way back every few years.
The last time I did it, it did great. You know, we got a ton of fruit.
But this is a story about the time Marie pruned it after that.
It was quite the shock, I must admit, quite the shock.
I really cut it. To say the least, Derek wasn't overly impressed.
And Derek started expressing his disappointment daily.
He'd just shake his head and go, "Oh, you've killed it."
We all know what stick people are. That's exactly what it looked like to me, a stick person.
And not raising its stick arm in a welcoming wave sort of stick person. So Marie went searching for a solution. And while considering her passion for pups,
because they don't talk back,
felt compelled to craft a canine costume for the stick person tree.
And sure enough, I put it up, and he never said another word about it.
And now, rather than criticizing Marie's cutting, and after this first face was temporarily lost in a windstorm and their daughter donated another, Derek is offering kudos for his wife's creativity, if not occasionally taking credit.
People that walk by in the street say, "Oh, I love your tree." I'm going, "Thank you."
Because after being married for 40 years, Marie and Derek agree the secret to overcoming life's inevitable ups and prune way downs is to live in the moment.
You accept it as it is.
And find a way to fill the moment with amusement.
Smiling, laughing, goofing around.
There's a bloom here.
And you just might find that even if these tiny pink buds become big cherry-growing branches, you'll both still affectionately call it your dogwood tree.
I think it looks better.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
That's it for us tonight. I'm Heather Wright for Sandy and all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and we'll see you again tomorrow.